this week we've been dealt quite a devastating blow through the vehicle of the latest list of amendments submitted by the government minister, which is Baroness Smith of Malvern. Am I right, Michelle?
Yeah, any ones that appear in that name are government amendments when you're going through the list.
So there are other amendments which are very helpful. We don't know still which ones will stay in and which ones will go, but the government ones are the ones that they're not going to just wave away. And they are really serious, really worrisome, because they take the bill actually a step further than it was originally. It was bad enough to start off with, but now we're looking at it being even worse potentially. And I need everyone to pay full attention, because this is very important and it will affect every single home educator in the country. No one will be exempt from the measures if they make it into this bill and it gets royal assent. So Michelle, would you mind giving us a rundown of some of the worst and most offending amendments, please?
Do you want to start with a negative? We could, there is a tiny little bits of positive.
I don't know, I want to make impact, but yes. Okay, we'll start with the positive. Okay, so good news first.
The good news first. They've realised it's ridiculous to expect to give every individual's personal name and address. So organisations, we still have to, but they have finally realised what we were trying to tell them, that it just is not feasible. So that is gone. Individuals is gone.
We're talking about individuals who are involved in the education of your children. That's what Michelle's talking about.
Yeah. So that is a positive. The big negative is what they're calling a pilot scheme, but it's up to 30% of the local authorities. So the pilot scheme will very quickly become something more than that. Now, this lovely pilot scheme means that deregistration for demand has gone. So if you're in an LA that gets put on this lovely pilot scheme, which, as I said, it can be up to 30% of them, then your LA will have to ensure that before your child's name can be removed from the register, the parent must attend and participate in a meeting with the local authority. The intention is the child is also present in this meeting, and the local authority must ensure in this meeting to explain to you about home ed. We know how many local authorities get that wrong. They must ensure you, so it's not sounding very friendly, this meeting, that you understand your duties under Section 7 of the Education Act. There is a little positive. They're supposed to, if it's reasonable, advise you about how you might be able to access exams. But again, it's on their terms if it's reasonable for them to do that.
And actually, that's nothing that amazing, because we can get that same information from our home ed groups on Facebook and so on, can't we?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And then, doesn't mean you're deregistered yet. The proprietor of the school can only take you off once they receive confirmation from the local authority that you attended and participated in the meeting. Now, at the moment, and this is something I am going to personally write to some peers about, I can't see a time frame on how long it has to take for the local authority to communicate that you have participated in this meeting. I may have missed it, because obviously these only came out Wednesday, but I haven't seen a time frame on there. My experience with local authorities, I did some FOIs on special school deregistration the other year. Some local authorities can turn it around in one day. Some local authorities takes 18 months. So I want a time frame on there. I don't want it to exist in the first place, but if it's going to be in there, I want us not to be held in limbo. Because obviously, until your child's name is off that register, you are potentially at risk of fines under the normal school truancy rules.
And the problem also, Michelle, is that, yes, they're saying it's a pilot scheme, but we already see how other local authorities pick up on these things and start doing things before they're required to legally. They're already doing it. They're going to say, well, it's in the pilot scheme, it's coming anyway, so this is what we're doing. They're going to start doing that. And it'll become the norm, and it'll just quietly sneak into everything. They'll blur the lines eventually, where it's no longer a pilot scheme, it's just crept in and been accepted by a lot of home educators, which will then mean that we can't resist it any longer.
Yeah. Well, the other bit is just the normal bit of getting information, because at the moment we know certain LAs don't follow the rules, but the rules are the rules. So, if I say this is what the local authority should do, that's the case. Whereas when this comes in, you might be in local authority A, your child could be attending a group with parents from local authority B, local authority C, and local authority D. And potentially some of them will be in the pilot, but because you're all together, you're going to expect that your local authorities are behaving the same way. So you can easily then, if you're one of those local authorities in the pilot, convince people this is how everyone should do it. And then you've got 2 more local authorities on the pilot by default, not because they're actually on the pilot, just because we don't home ed in silo. We do cross these boundaries. Some people even do this thing called world schooling, and things like this they haven't considered. Another really, really big one for people to note, and I'm sorry, I did call it right at the beginning and everyone told me I was a nutter and scaremongering. They've moved the point where the LAs can request home visits. So now that is before we get to a preliminary notice. It's not school attendance order bit now. It's now before we get to preliminary notice. And it's also that bit, we're not giving them, well, in fact, it says in the policy summary, we're not giving the LAs the power to force entry into your home. They're getting the power to request entry to your home, which if you refuse, they must factor that into the decision about suitability of your child's education. Now, I'm not quite sure how whether I open the door and let you in or don't says whether my child's education is fantastic or not, because I might let you in and not teach and not facilitate any education to my child. But equally, I may not let you in and my child could have a really, really high quality education that's suitable to them. So not quite sure why they've added that in.
But Michelle, it doesn't even, there's even a suggestion of it being before preliminary notice. So it's before the end of the period so before the end of the period of 15 days that the local authority must consider where the child lives and may request the child's parents to allow. So even that has snuck in.
Oh yeah, it's the 15 days of the registration. Oh yeah, I forgot about that bit. Yeah, the 15 days of the registration.
Yeah, that's in clause 32. So I don't think it's not still part of the pilot, is it? If it's clause 32, so pilot scheme fall under clause 31. I think so. So
yeah, because the big changes are clause 31, 32, and 33.
Yeah. And the thing is that we have had a lot of people here on the action group. We are the only group at the moment that is actually actively trying to do action against this bill. We have not had all the support of the home educating community. We've had groups actively saying that we are scaremongering, that we are making a big deal out of it. But actually, obviously, we were quite right to be concerned. And it's really, really important that everyone, if you are angry about this, we need you to start becoming active in protesting, because this is our last chance, really, to confront these issues and to actually get our voices heard. We're going to talk shortly about the protest, so stay tuned for that. But just going back to these amendments, Michelle, is there anything else that we need to be aware of?
Yes, there is another one, and this is I've actually spoken to quite a few families who are really, really upset about this change. The child protection plan bit, it's now not just if it's a current child protection plan. You will require consent if there's been a child protection plan at any point in the last 5 years, even if there are no current safeguarding involvement and the situation has improved. It's that 5 years bit. Now, 5 years is a very, very long time, but also misunderstands why people go on child protection plans. Now, the families I've had really, really worried about that tend to have been involved in domestic violence situations. It is quite normal in the point when you are extracting yourself from a domestic violence situation for there to be a period where you may end up on a child protection plan, because people are working out whether you are keeping the child or children safe as you work out the new life without the domestic violence within it.
Can I make a point here? It also includes people who, for example, we know or have been on child protection because their child was sold drugs at the school gate, or because they were in danger at the school, or they were sexually abused by somebody at the school, etc. Being on child protection does not mean that the danger is from within your home. And the fact that this is sort of like a blanket thing, and we know local authorities as a general rule, especially social service departments, social care departments, do not like or understand home education. Because of that, they are going to blanket refuse deregistration or enforce registration.
And they're not even talking about training the local authorities here, which would be our one little strand of hope, is that these people are going to be trained properly. The other things, as you said, Michelle, 5 years is a long time, and it's an especially long time in a child's life. So if the child is really struggling in school and they have to wait 5 years, I mean, that could be absolutely unbearable, and it could have serious consequences for some children. And we are getting a lot of comments on this about, and we understand that people you're right to feel angry about this, because this is massive overreach. They basically have introduced a whole new horrific bill, really. It's so much worse. And it's not anything that's come up as or been expressed as a need. Nobody has said this stuff is needed.
There's another bit now, which applies to so many as well. They now will have to give your previous address so that councils can coordinate a bit easier. Whereas at the moment, it's your current address that matters. But you can't get out of giving your address because the previous address counts as well. Another positive, they have made the regulations going to need a bit more scrutiny, but regulations in themselves, even the scrutinised regulations, are not scrutinised in the same way primary legislation is. So it's not much of a help. It's a little bit of a help, but it's not a big difference, really.
Just covering the write-up from Fiona Nicholson, who got this out in lightning speed, didn't she?
Yeah, it was excellent too. Really good summary.
So that's definitely worth a read when we put out the Substack on Monday. Michelle, do you want to talk about tomorrow?
So tomorrow we have our extended live. So it's our next one of our Let's Talk Home Education. We named it Changing Landscapes. They handily gave us these amendments on Wednesday so that, we could have time to talk about them with you and assist you in understanding how this will affect home education.
Just want to say I'm back. I've got something went weird with my connection. So
fantastic. Juliet can take over and give you a proper explanation rather than me give you some bumps.
Yes. So tomorrow we've planned to have this chat. It'll be a live chat. It's going to be live on the Alliance event, and it will also be live on YouTube. It's from 10 a.m. till 5 p.m. We will have a few people on. We're going to be talking not only about these amendments, but we will also be talking about what are we going to do, with this bill, if it passes, what are we going to do? What are some things we can consider? What are some promising things that are going on that could be of help to us? So join us tomorrow between 10 and 5 when we will be live chatting about this. Obviously, we've got hot off the press, we've got the amendments, and we've got the opportunity to really take a good look at them and share this link with as many people as you can, with as many groups as you can. Maybe encourage MPs to watch it. If you just anyone that you feel might benefit from hearing us have this conversation of how this is going to impact us. So please do share this wherever you can. Michelle and Alice and I are very limited in what we can do at the moment. We have so much going on, and we cannot possibly share in every group that needs sharing in. So we do rely on everyone else to help with that. Please, very big please, to share this, and really maybe we can make it blow up, because there's enough of us that are angry, and this is a conversation we need to have. So I hope you will be joining us tomorrow.
Yeah, please encourage your local groups as well as any national groups you are involved in to spread the word. We cannot be in every local group. It is time for local groups to really get involved now. We really, really need local support from all over the whole country. At the moment, we have very, very limited action from people and very limited spreading of the word. The number of times I go onto a group and they go, oh, I didn't know that rally was happening, or I didn't know that demo was going on, or whatever. It is your job out there to spread the word. So please do.
Yeah. And as Kat was jiggling the mouse around there on the notify me, if you go on the YouTube channel, I believe you can click on that and it will let you know when we go live. For any reason the YouTube link doesn't work, please go on the Facebook, the Alliance event page, and you will be able to watch it there. So we do have quite a lot of comments coming in about Barnsley, where Barnsley are actively wanting to reduce home education. I'm just going to mention that. They've got funding for it. And just to contrast, I mean, and I'm going a bit off topic here, so apologies, but I had somebody send me an article from Northamptonshire where they're talking about the big increase in home education. And one of the counsellors they interviewed there was totally so even-handed, not like Barnsley, the total opposite, where they were saying, no, we've expanded our team and this is what we're going to deliver to home educators, and there shouldn't be any drama around this. It shouldn't be a big deal. We would like to see more councils having a common sense approach and understanding the role of home education and how valuable it is. So going on from this, what are we going to do with this anger? Okay. So next Saturday, the 17th of January, is our big planned protest in London, this big rally. We are planning on, we have already ordered a stage with sound equipment and everything, and we really need as many boots on the ground for this as possible. So this is, yes, Michelle is holding up the banner that she's had made. We've got merchandise, and we're trying to make this a really big, impactful rally with things that we can hand out to people, badges and so on, and flyers. But we also need as many people there as possible. Honestly, if you are angry about what they're doing with this bill, you need to get there. You need to tell others to get there. This is your last chance to make big impact.
If you can't get there,
and if
what
you
do you need to do?
Even if you can't get, even if you can get there, we're trying to fundraise enough money to cover the costs of the professional stage and the sound system and the merchandise. Michelle has really put her own personal finances on the line. She might not like me saying that, but basically, she's invested a lot heavily in this, and we want to try and avoid that happening. So we need to raise a lot more money. We are over the halfway mark. We need many more people to donate, and particularly if you cannot get to London, help us make this a big, powerful protest by putting a little bit of money in. Think of it as your Starbucks coffee, which will cost you almost £5 these days, and you put a £5 in, or much more, whatever you're able to. If you can't, please don't feel bad about it. We don't expect you to be out of pocket or to not feed your children because you gave the money to the protest. Definitely not that. But if you can, and if you're able, please contribute to this so that we can really make a difference with this protest. Our earlier protests, we really have struggled to get the numbers that we need. We need to make the news headlines. We need to be like the farmers. We need to be like all these other groups that go and protest and get the press and showing on the news and so on. We need that. And we can only do it with lots of people. This is an opportunity to teach your children about politics and action, about truly having their voices heard. They can design their own banners. You can explain to them a bit about political processes. But honestly, and I know many, many people say, oh, what's the point? They're not listening to us anyway. They may not be listening, but other people are. And also, we continue, this is about freedom. It's about our freedom of choice. It's not just about home education. It's about how we choose where our children are educated. It's about school fines and parental authority. It's about teachers being free to be able to teach the way that they feel is right for the children that are with them. It's about all the attendance issues when children are poorly. It's about SEND. It's about so many other things. And quite honestly, I think most parents at the moment are, as we would say in the old days, up to here. We've had it. And this is a way for you to get that out, be part of that spirit of coming together to stand up for your rights and for your freedoms. We will have a great day. Make no mistake, we will have a lot of fun. Come warmly dressed, prepare. Make sure you've got a plan of how you're going to get there. Make sure you've got a backup plan in case there's transport issues, train issues. Don't let anything keep you away from this very, very important event that I really hope will be historic, that it will go down in the home education history books and in the rights of children and parents, in those history books of how we fought for our freedom. It's not to be taken lightly. We are about to lose so much, and we cannot give way now.
Can I just say thank you very much to those people who have offered me beds for the night? I'm having to drive this electric car that only goes 40 miles on a charge down all the way 250 plus miles to London. It's going to take me 3 days, and I am eternally grateful to those people who have offered me succour on the way down. In particular, Anne, who is putting up with me for 3 days when I get to central London. So we're bringing the little yellow car down, if we remember what that looks like, the little campaign car, that's coming down, and it is going to be part of the rally. So if you want to come and see the car and have your photo taken with it, then do so. I will be posting where I am as I travel down through the country. If anybody wants to come and say hello, then let me know. I can meet you at various service stations whilst I'm charging up the car.
That'd be fantastic.
There we go.
Yeah,
it would be amazing.
Look out for the car. Okay. Let's throw some hashtags out there with the car. Also to say we're probably going to be able to play our protest song over the speakers, I'm hoping, and make use of the sound system that's on the car itself. So this is all very exciting, and I really hope that you will be planning not to miss it, because it is just such a key event. And I will be there. Alison will be there. Jen Hodge, is Jen going to be there? She's going to be there, right?
Jen is speaking.
Yeah, and many other good speakers. And as I said, it's not only about home education. Anyone who is fed up with this bill and wants to see it gone can come and take part in this march. And we will stand together for our rights and for our freedoms and for the protection of our children. So thank you so much for that. And in sympathy with us in Scotland, there is a protest planned as well. The details are here. It will be from 1:30 to 3 p.m. outside the Scottish Parliament, Holyrood, Edinburgh. And you can go and join that protest if you are up north, and go and stand with those down south. So down south. So that's just something that somebody's organized, and yeah, let's give them a boost. Yep. So I'm just checking comments. Okay. So the other thing we'll come to the Substack in a minute. Okay. Next up, Kat. Oh dear, this is not a consultation, conversation. So closes 14th of January 2026. It is still important you participate, but just bear in mind this is not a consultation, but they do say they want to hear your voices. So this is the SEND conversation. If you haven't completed it yet, go and take a look. Go and have your say. They are going to use artificial intelligence. I hope that does a good job. But make some strong points there if you've been affected by, or you expect to be affected by, the reforms that are planned in the white paper. Okay, next is, this links with that conversation, because Georgia Gould, she says they are listening, and it's all of your thoughts have really shaped their thinking, even though parents have been saying the exercise is futile because it's running so close to when they're publishing their white paper. How can these things possibly make it in there? Michelle, what do you have to say about this?
Well, it's a good way of ticking a box, isn't it? I actually did pop into one of the sessions, and the way they did the questions and answers, you had to upvote them. So if you're from a minority group who's wants their question answered, you didn't have a hope, because there weren't the numbers on the call to be able to mark them up. And even if you did get upvoted, there were so few of the actual questions answered, it was a bit pointless putting the questions in the chat. There was a lot of speaking at you in these bits. The people on the panel seemed to enjoy a nice little chinwag with each other. But although there was the option to fill in a Q&A, the amount of engagement was minimal. It was a very little amount. I'm led to believe the in-person ones, because I had a few friends who went to some of the in-person ones, were a lot better than the online ones. There were lots of notes taken, but certain things that anyone who spent less than 2 minutes on a SEND forum would be aware of. appeared to be news to the people who were running the sessions, which obviously is quite concerning. Particularly, I think I can't remember if it was the first or second session where it was the first time the minister had ever heard the term in-betweener, which, there's even been TV documentary bits that talks about the fact that there's a gap between what school can offer and what a special school can offer, and there are children who just don't fit mainstream or the special school. They need something in between.
Can I just say also, the in-person sessions did not cover the whole country. I've been waiting to hear when they're coming to the northwest. They still haven't been up here, so they covered barely a fifth of the country as far as regions were concerned.
I know when people have checked, and I'm aware of people who've asked about this being consultation, they were said, "Oh no, this is a listening exercise. It's a conversation with people," and it's very important because there's a big difference between a consultation, which is normally given quite a bit of weight, to a conversation that doesn't need to be taken in the same level of weighting and doesn't need to be recorded in the same way as a consultation would need to be recorded. It's quite disappointing that it's not been done in a way that actually has the same weight as a consultation.
Yeah, because normally when we've had consultations, you could read the responses and that kind of thing. It just it's like they say to you, you can speak, but here's where your gag,
Yeah.
So put your gag over your mouth, and now you can talk.
Yeah, but that's also why it's important to fill in the online survey bit of the send bit that goes till the 14th. Because at least then there's a written record of what you said, because that can later on be looked at in a different way to what these conversations be recorded as.
It's so much better if we've got a record somewhere that we can go back to and say, but look at what we said here. And a lot of these things, even us protesting and so on, is so that we can refer back. But we need, as I say, once again, with the protest, we need those numbers, because we cannot have them dismissing us as being a small group of people that aren't, that don't matter. And we become disenfranchised, and they see us as a little marginalized group.
And they're all careful in their language when they're using it. So here there's always going to be a legal basis of support for children with special educational needs.
Yeah.
Well, the Equality Act has the options for reasonable adjustments, which technically should enable, and that is a legal basis to support children with special educational needs. The problem is it's people's interpretation of what a reasonable adjustment is, which varies drastically, which is why there was a new framework developed that ensured there was proper, meaningful support. It's just unfortunate that a lot of local authorities completely ignore the law. And that's not me just saying that. Look at the tribunal statistics any year. Look at the DfE statistics any year. Yeah. And they just ignore the law. So it's all very well having a legal basis of support, but if they're not going to follow the law, you
don't have a consistent approach across the country. And this is the same with home education. We don't have a consistent approach. Rebecca was saying that I think she's referring to this conversation here. It was only closed questions that were being used, and with a school focus, it didn't sort of have any angling towards, children outside of the school system. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so what do we have next then? We've just got one more thing, and this is a very interesting one. So this question asked by Baroness McLean of Reddish is quite an interesting one. To ask His Majesty's government what proportion of children who are homeschooled have Muslim parents. We'll forgive her the use of the word homeschooled. And Baroness Smith answered that the department does not collect data on the religion of parents of children in elective home education. Now, Michelle, what does this tell us? What's the reading between the lines on this?
Well, there was lots of reading between the lines on it, because it could mean lots of things. It could be indicating bias. It could be indicating additional suspicion against certain groups. It could be from a protective element of knowing about certain groups and certain risks. The problem is this question gives more questions than it answers.
Yeah.
And then the answer doesn't give any information either. And I've lost it, because I did actually write to the Baroness to ask her what her question was about. But I had it all ready to read. And I've
Well,
nailed it.
basically, she gave you a non-answer, didn't she? And she said
Yes.
she gave you a non-answer and said that the government had given her a non-answer. So,
Yeah.
Great. Let's all waste our breath.
Have you found it yet, Michelle?
No.
Mhm. Yeah, it's just that. She said something about not that they didn't have the data. It was something like that where she'd asked for the data and
Yeah.
they didn't give it to her or something. So was this Baroness McLean that said she was just going to keep asking the questions, or was it the other way around?
Yeah, no, she's going to
Yeah.
keep because her job obviously is to scrutinise as a peer. But it's also that she doesn't want to jump to conclusions, so she wants to gather information to form a view rather than just start from a point of view, which is good. The problem is it's like not understanding the context of why you need to form a view on it makes it quite tricky.
Just very interesting is that one of the questions that's popped up, and we may have the answer to this. Rebecca's asked, do any of you have an idea when the next data set for home educated numbers in the UK per LA will be released? That is that relevant, but it's imminent, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, it's imminent.
15th of January, is that one? 15th
Yeah.
of January, 9:30 a.m. to be precise. Oddly specific. But anyway, there you have it. So there's your answer on that one. Tony's mentioned something about traveling communities, and they have their specific cultural things, and nobody's ever really questioned their cultural beliefs. That doesn't get challenged in the way in which we tend to get challenged.
It does get challenged. Have a quick Google of Hansard that's regularly challenged.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's okay.
And even if you look in this bill itself, if you look in the human rights part of it, the human rights memorandum, they have a bit stating how the bill is going to disproportionately affect those communities. And it also says in the most recent policy bit about how the new bits to the bill will have a bigger impact, a bigger burden on those communities, because obviously they don't have just one local authority.
Yeah. I want to just, there was something that occurred to me regarding these amendments, is that once again, we see there's nothing built in that protects us. So normally a good legislation should build in protection for all parties. Once again, we see there's no option. Like, so if you've got a local authority that is behaving badly, what protection do you have if it's petty that they are not allowing you to deregister and all of that? So we've got a real problem on our hands if this passes, if these amendments pass, and we need to be pushing for protective measures as well against all parties. The last thing I want to mention, and now I've just got a little scratchy throat now, can somebody talk about the Substack so I can clear my throat? And why we have the Substack.
I'll do it. Okay, so we have our Substack, which is from the Elective Home Education Alliance. We are a group of people who come together to talk about home education and how we can improve things. We've had the Substack for some months now. It is the one-stop shop for everything that is currently happening. It's like a news channel, if you will. We have our videos like this one that go out on it every week, along with relevant links underneath it. It is an extremely useful thing. You can sign up to it. There's no cost involved. There's no kind of cost implicating subscription. It's just really a form of blog. And you just sign up to it and it will get delivered to your inbox every week.
Very, very useful if you've not kept track of the links. So all the links of everything that we've shared will be in that Substack and more. Thanks to the hard work of Kat behind the scenes, going and finding all these bits of information and keeping us in, making sure we know what's going on. But honestly, we would really like to see more people signed up to that Substack, because it will make, if you miss this live or you miss bits of information on the Facebook group, if Facebook doesn't notify you, you will get it all in your inbox on a Monday morning. So please go and subscribe to the Substack. Hopefully all the links will pop up under this video so that you can go and find everything you need. So this is truly a scary situation that we're facing. My last words is just, try and get to that protest or make other people aware of it. Try and take a group of friends. Let's really show up in our full numbers, because that would be absolutely amazing and make it all worthwhile. So please, whatever your plans are for next Saturday, you need to change them and plan to be in London
Oh,
on the
shall I
17th
change
of
them?
January. No, you don't change yours. Don't you dare. If you don't already have plans to be in London protesting, I'm not talking about going to Harrods. If you don't have plans to be in London protesting, please change those plans so that you are in London protesting with all of us. We would love to see you there, and let's really make our voices heard once and for all.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
a wrap for us. Have a good evening and a good weekend. Try and join us tomorrow for this live broadcast that we're doing. And of course, all of these things can be caught up afterwards if you miss them. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.